Gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. For folks who are listening to this whole interview on Rudy Blair Entertainment Media, we're in a secret location. We're actually outside, great summer weather, in somebody's backyard. There's swings and even right behind you, a little kids' basketball court thingy over there. And it's just, you can hear the bugs flying around, bzz, which is kind of something you would hear on a baseball field or, diamond.
Sure.
Because what we're talking about is something that I think is hilarious. It's so funny. And my thought was, if the Bad News Bears had grown up and stayed together, this is what it would have been. So you're creator of...
Yeah, the ninth digital show on CBC Gem.
And when I referred to the Bad News Bears and baseball, there's a reason why.
Yeah, it's a show about a bunch of hard-partying, loser amateur ball players that play for this team called the Box Springs out of Toronto. And we don't focus much on the games. We start every show in the ninth inning, and then we follow them into the bar where they hang out and drink and get up to no good and party and make big mistakes.
How did you come up with this idea?
Me and the co-creator Daniel A.M. Rosenberg, who's also the director and is a great guy. We like watching the games at Christie Pitts, the Toronto Maple Leafs that play there. So we were there and just wondering what it would be like to play for a really low-level amateur team where they play so hard and the stakes are so low. Yeah. So from that, we were like, we should do a documentary. And then we were like, no, don't do a documentary. It's too much work. Let's just make it up. It's easier that way, and then we can make it as funny as we want. So that was the genesis of it, and then we just things started dovetailing. We thought it'd be funny if it was sponsored by a discount mattress store, so that's why they're called the Box Springs. And we just let our imagination roll away with us.
Well, you got this gentleman here. Can you introduce the gentleman we got next to you?
Yeah, Corteon plays Chip, who's the fish out of the water. He's one of the new guys on the team. He's from Texas. He's a small town boy who's like a top baseball prospect that really thinks he's going to like a big time league, and he ends up on this crappy league with this crappy team, and he's got to make the best of the bad situation.
Well, when you first heard about this, what were your thoughts on it?
I was honestly really excited because, firstly, the Southern accent was one of the things that really struck me about this character, because at first I was like, there's no way I'd be able to do it. And I'd even asked him shortly after we started filming, I was like, what would you do if you found somebody that didn't have an accent? And they're just like, we just wouldn't do the accent. And I was like, oh, come on. Because, I harped over it for like 5 days. But I don't know, it was just one of those things that, honestly, the first time I had read even the audition sides, it just kind of sat with me really, really well. And it just kind of was something that was always within me. And it was just it was a break from anything that I had done previously, because, I'd started on, kid shows, and then I'd started on, guest spots and more family-friendly things. And then this was really an adult adventure. And, dealing with drug abuse, alcohol, real life situations and stuff like that.
It deals with drug use, not drug abuse.
Yeah, not abuse.
It only deals with drug abuse if they know they're abusing. It does deal with drug abuse, but to these people, it's just good drug use.
I'm going to jump right in, because the thing I loved about what I saw was in the locker room, this is the way people speak and act. You really wanted to tell the truth in a funny way.
Yeah, I guess you could say that we were going for that real locker room talk, even though that's kind of been co-opted by a certain president. Mm-hmm. But no, I just there's a certain game that I think people play on sports teams, whether it's co-ed or not, which is just to say the funniest, weirdest thing you can say. So they spend a lot of time playing that game with each other, which is what friends do, So,
right.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was kind of like and it gives the show an edge, and gives it gives it its flavor, its tone.
And then Chip is lost the entire time. Like, they'll be talking about, first, second, and third base, and he thinks he's talking about baseball, and they're really talking about, what we all know it really, really means. Although we also go into that, who knows what first, second, and third base really, really means.
Yeah.
But, so like you said, Chip's just a fish out of water. And it was really interesting to go from, episode 1, or even the trailer that we had shot before the entire show had been picked up, to see just the growth in all the characters. But Chip in particular, it's the way that he starts off as this freshly minded person, coming from a church background, strictly playing baseball every single day, and then growing into somebody, who's falling in love, who's, learning about different sexualities, learning about, what marijuana does to the brain, and then all that, doing all that and then balancing it with still playing baseball, because it is a baseball show, and he is a prospect player, so, he still has that in him, but he's growing into an actual human being rather than just like, you know, a robot who's just there to play and study the Word of God.
But it is a baseball show.
It is a baseball show.
So how are your baseball skills?
Well, I mean, I never played baseball before this show, but shooting in slow motion does a lot to make you look like you're good at anything. I mean, if you were to put me in like, you know, a rate like NASCAR and just told me we were on the track, you shot that in slow motion, I'd look like I'm a professional. But we had some really, really, really great local baseball players come in for some of the scenes that we'd shot for the beginning of each show, because each episode starts with you know, the last inning, and you know, they really guide us in terms of how to stand and how to run and even how to throw and stuff like that. So I mean, I come from like a relatively athletic background, but baseball was never really in my repertoire. Other than this kind of gave me the chance to refine those skills, especially having to play, you know, the best on the team. Arguably, I had to really show like I was able to play. So you know, I definitely did study baseball, just not necessarily any of the players or anything like that, but more so just the way that they carry themselves on the field, the way that they move, the way that they stand, you know. Yeah, so it was just like the overall aspects of what a baseball player really does, and that was really fun to kind of bring myself from like, you know, more so like a football or rugby background or even boxing, and just be like, okay, well, it's not necessarily always moving, but you got to be ready to jump, and that was it was a cool transition.
This is really like a dysfunctional family, you know, all getting together. And the other thing I love about this too is every nationality, whatever, like this represents Canada, because everybody that you can think of is in this show.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we just, I mean, you know, it's a Toronto team. It's like who from Toronto will be on it, just anybody. And we made it a co-ed team because just as writers, it's more fun. The more people you have that are different on a show, the more different points of view you get, the more fights you might get. So, I mean, we have a character, Tony Yasnewski. Yaz, they call him No Name because they refuse to give him a nickname. He kind of represents your traditional white male privileged jock, and he's got to deal with the fact that there's like girls on the team, and there's a Sri Lankan guy on the team that he can't comprehend why the Sri Lankan guy played cricket in India if he's Sri Lankan. Like, he just can't. He's like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So he's like, we tried to also not make him like a nemesis. Like, you love to hate him, but we also
he's the heart of the show. Like, he really is.
Humanity as well, because like, from a writer's point of view, just like you kind of got to love all your characters. You got to give everybody humanity, or else there's no point. Just too easy to dump on somebody. So
it's like you guys are giving him a pass to be an ass, basically.
Yeah, kind of. It's fun to watch somebody do that. I mean, like the best example is like Michael Scott in The Office. Yeah. It's like everybody wants to watch do something stupid, but also you root for him because he's got such a beating heart under there that you're like, well, this guy's a villain. He's just an idiot.
Exactly.
Which is what No Name is.
And I was gonna say, and we all know an idiot somewhere in our dysfunctional family.
And it was so fun to work with him. Benjamin Blaze is the guy that plays Yasnewski, and this was my first comedy. And I remember there was one day we were on set, and you know, I pride myself to be like a very focused actor, especially like in more like a dramatic genre. But there's one day that we had this just one-on-one scene, and it was literally like an eighth of a page, and he had to say like 3 or 4 sentences to me. And I was just not on my game that day, and he would just look at me, and just because he's one of those people that you don't know what they're gonna do next, he didn't have to do anything. I just literally broke. I had, if you were to look at my coverage, like outside of what they edited in, I'm talking to him like this, not looking at him at all, because if I looked up, it would have been game over for me, because he just had one of those. You just have no idea what he's gonna do, and he was really a really fun person to work with, for sure.
We have you breaking into laughter has made the show twice. In that scene, there's just a thing of you going like this, you're like, which works for the character, because you're like, I don't know what this guy's going to do.
I wasn't going to say that, but...
And then we actually have another part where the character smokes weed for the first time, and we just caught him, like, there wasn't supposed to be that he laughs in the line, but Corteon was just laughing so hard at this situation, and it's just in here being like, my legs feel funny.
I felt so bad, though, because we were going way overtime on that scene, and him and Daniel were just yelling at me from outside of the...
No, hey, look. Overtime doesn't matter. The magic of somebody breaking, that's where they're like...
I know, but we needed one take where I wouldn't break, and I did not get it. And I remember that day I was just like, they're gonna fire me. They're gonna have to recast.
So this is interesting because from our perspective, we were behind the monitor being like, he's a genius. Really? Sure, you're smoking weed for the first time. You had the giggles.
Idea. I know, but I was like, oh my God, I can't. And it was because I was eating chips too. And then I was just in my head, every crunch was just like, why is it crunching so loud? It is going so loud. And I just knew I couldn't laugh. And then it was just like, oh, I just can't do it. And I remember I went home and I even pulled you aside. I was like, I'm so sorry. And he assured me it was okay, but I was like, no, if we come back, I'm done. Like, it's the end.
That's my favorite scene, by the way, in the whole series.
love it.
That's episode 7.
Yeah.
How many episodes altogether?
There's 8 episodes altogether, all 12 minutes each.
Cannot wait. This sounds like magic. And of course, to see the magic, where do we go to see the magic?
You got to go to CBC Gem. Just put in CBC Gem. It's a great streaming app, has all sorts of stuff that you can watch, and including The Ninth, which you'll find under, I think the category right now is cringeworthy comedies.
Yeah, and it's free.
Yeah,
and
it's free. It's free for everyone in Canada.
And people should know, too, the shirt comes off, too, right?
Shirt comes off almost every episode. Push-ups. You know,
that was it. It's in a locker room, but we weren't back there being like, should we add one more shirt on? We weren't.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for this. I'm looking forward to it. And let's cross fingers. 12 minutes? I don't think 12 minutes is enough. I think we need to go half hour and...
Feature film status.
Yeah, I think we should go there.
Yeah.
We want Game of Thrones. We want
There you go.
8 full seasons, hour and a half long episodes.
I love it. Gentlemen, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.